sector to the Agritech sector, which the agriculture sector is estimated to constitute nearly 18% of the country's GVA in this financial year, and that is the government's latest estimates. The sector grew at an annual average rate of 3.7% from 15 to FY23 and at 4% in FY23 itself. The exports from the agriculture sector, they also surged to touch 4.2 lakh crores this year. Now, with the budget coming up in just a few days, the focus very much is on this agri-tech sector, on the ways to digitize the agriculture sector with emerging technologies, support for innovation, financing and whatnot. So joining me now to talk about what they're expecting from the budget are Shashank Kumar, the co-founder and CEO of DeHaat, and Mukul Garg, the founder at AGRIM. And also with me is my colleague Shruti Mishra from the Mumbai studio. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Shashank, I'll start with you. Top 2 to 3 expectations from the budget, because last year we saw a lot getting addressed, from the green growth theme to an agriculture accelerator fund and whatnot. What are you expecting this time around? Shashank, I think you're on mute. If you could unmute yourself and tell us what you're expecting from the budget.
Hey, Ritu. So thanks for having me. Nothing new in I think it's a similar thing what has been discussed during the last budget. So the first point is FPO. Almost 7,600 FPOs are already formed in India. Next 3,000 on its way. Even as DeHaat, in fact, we are working with almost 1,000 of FPOs. But I think digitization of FPOs and basically I think all the IoT and the IT related tools for FPOs so that they can leverage the developing agri-tech platform for their own self-sustainability. That's the point number 1. 2, the climate piece. We all have been, I think, experiencing the impact of climate change. As per FPO, by 2050, the yield on the major crops like rice, corn, wheat, likely to be impacted by 15 to 20%. So there has to be a very holistic 360-degree framework from the government as a kind of incentive for the farmers and all the stakeholders to adopt climate smart agriculture practices, whether it's IoT, whether it's precision agriculture, whether it's generating carbon credit and monetizing carbon credit. So all those things. So climate smart agriculture, I think there has to be a big bet on that piece. The third one is export. The growth of agri-export has been consistent. It's 8% on year-on-year basis against 4.6% annual agri growth. I think the momentum has to be maintained with stable policy and a little bit of support on the freight side, considering the recent phenomena what we are seeing at a Red Sea level. And last but not the least is the digital public infrastructure, right? So where state and central governments, they need to be in sync. I think those are my 4 top.
All right. So digitization of FPO, smart framework for farmers, a long list that you just mentioned. Let me quickly go to Mukul now. Mukul, first tell us what have been the big challenges for you from a policy point of view, and what are your and the sector's big asks from the finance minister?
So the first focus, I guess, we as a sector has been credit deprived overall, right? So I guess the focus, which was the agriculture credit increasing to 20 lakh crore, right? I guess that should get pushed to 25 lakh crore, where the overall credit access to the farmer is increasing along with the supply chain, right? So that is the first focus, right? In terms of the infrastructure, I guess the first mile cold storage, right, is something which bites the farmers really hard, right? So I guess that has to be solved deeply on the infrastructure side. As Shashank mentioned, in terms of the data infrastructure and the policy around public data sensing, public satellite data, right? That is something where, the hard investment has to happen to make sure the companies or the startups, those who are coming on the new age digital side, right, they can focus on building the right innovative products for the farmer, right? So I guess these are the 3 broad areas where we think the finance minister should look at. And along with that, around the green agriculture, which is overall around the global warming issue, right? So the use of pesticides and fertilizers, right, has to reduce over the period of time. So the benefits of using the biofertilizers and biopesticides, right, that should be made very easy in terms of reducing the GST rates there and ensuring that the supply of products are there. So these would be the main ask.
Okay. Thanks for that. But Shashank, let me quickly come back to you on this digital public infrastructure for the agri-tech sector. Is there a specific ask that the industry is presented to the finance minister, or what are you expecting in the budget specifically? Very briefly.
So any GPA has already provided a lot of funds to state governments to build this digital stack or agri stack. As we know that in India, agri is a state subject, Ritu. So here I think the only ask is the simple framework where the central government and state governments, they need to be synchronized between what they are talking and what they are basically doing at grounds. So various state governments, they are deploying their own model of this digital public infrastructure. I think it just needs to be synchronized as per a single framework so that I think everyone can get benefited.
All right, Shashank, one final question, if you could quickly answer that. India's agricultural exports have grown at a CAGR of 6.6% from FY18 to FY23, reaching, $52.5 billion in FY23. What kind of policy interventions can help the export ecosystem, and what should be prioritized to maintain and improve agri-exports momentum?
Stable policy, because obviously in FY24, we have seen a lot of, let's say, introduction of bans, removal of bans, all those things. So stable policy, I think that is one. Two, there are many countries which are looking at India for a consistent supply to solve the global food safety and security issue, but it's a vicious cycle, right? So there's a little bit of freight subsidy to the exporters so that I think the new geographies can be cracked. And last not the least, because obviously from India as an exporter, the strategic locations are Middle East and Bangladesh or Southeast Asia, where credit discovery of those sort of local merchants not readily available. So while ECGC, there is an instrument, but again, if government can do something through the policy, right, so that the better credit discovery can be established for the exporter, that will certainly fill the void.
All right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but Shashank, Mukul, thanks very much for sharing your thoughts here on CNBC-TV18. Arunati, it's over to you in the Mumbai studio.
Thanks for that, Ritu. On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, alternative investment platform Grip Invest bags 10 million led by Stride Ventures. We put its founder on the hot seat to know more about the company's offerings, revenue, and growth outlook. Stay tuned.